For generations, the Western church experience has relied on a rigid, event-based structure. Believers gather once a week for a 90-minute window to sing a few songs, sit for a sermon, and leave. This format forces spiritual encounters into a tight, predictable time crunch. Deep moments of connection are often interrupted by schedule demands, program transitions, and quick announcements. This animated diagram illustrates an alternative approach called the continuous church model. It replaces the weekly event with a living ecosystem made of 3 interconnected, simultaneously operating spaces, one for ongoing teaching, one for communal fellowship, and one dedicated entirely to continuous worship. Removing the clock from spiritual devotion alters how believers encounter God, effectively ending the time limits on daily worship. Step inside the primary engine of this model, the worship and prayer room. There are no programs to follow, no strict schedules, and zero stage-driven pressure to perform. This space is designed to nourish the pneuma, the human spirit. The spirit is the deepest part of the soul, built specifically for constant, unbroken communion with God. In this room, worship acts as the main event. It serves as the continuous engine driving real, unfiltered divine encounter. On this floor plan, the front is anchored by live bands, creating an open space for outward musical praise. The back half provides a functional contrast, quieter seating clusters reserved for focused intercession, physical healing, and dedicated prayer teams. To keep this environment running without stopping, the room relies on overlapping watches. Teams of musicians and intercessors rotate every 60 to 90 minutes. This layout lets congregants float freely, drop in for 5 minutes, or stay for 3 hours, moving fluidly between musical praise and deep personal prayer. The logic of this system relies on the retrieval of a historical architectural blueprint. In the 19th century, Charles Spurgeon utilized a boiler room beneath his London sanctuary, where hundreds of members gathered in the basement to pray continuously. We see this same commitment globally today, from Pete Greig's international boiler room movement to the massive Korean prayer mountains, where intense, unceasing intercession is a core part of their community life. This diagram traces the origin of the practice back 3,000 years. King David structured continuous worship in his tabernacle by appointing 288 master musicians, organizing them into 24 interlocking shifts. David applied a foundational command from the book of Leviticus: the fire on the altar must be kept burning continually and never go out. The modern prayer room is a restoration of that mandate, a way to keep the fire of worship burning in the present day. The highest justification for this model is that it acts as an earthly rehearsal for a heavenly reality. The Book of Revelation describes a throne room where living creatures and elders engage in unceasing worship, day and night, without stopping. In this vision, the elders hold 2 specific items: harps and golden bowls of incense. These objects map to the physical layout of the prayer room. The harp represents the musical worship happening at the front of the room, while the incense represents the prayers of the saints rising from the intercessors in the back. By merging music and prayer into a single, continuous space, the church mirrors the unceasing liturgy of the heavenly court. Critics often ask if spending hours in a prayer room is simply an isolationist escape from the pressing problems of the real world. The source texts argue that real prayer never terminates on itself. Encountering God's heart inevitably fuels outward compassion and tangible action. The prayer room operates as a warm center. The energy generated inside spills over to directly empower the Great Commission, the command to go, and the Great Commandment, the call to love your neighbor. This worship and prayer room acts as the spiritual engine of the church, transforming passive attendees into active inhabitants of a persistent daily community.